what a moment. The 2008 Democratic National Convention that was live in Denver at Invesco Field, when then presidential candidate Barack Obama enthusiastically accepted his party's nomination in front of 80,000 enthusiastic would-be voters. His campaign was built on hope and change. Fast forward 4 years later, and Politico's Glenn Thrush observes that the president has been a not-so-happy warrior this time in an in-depth piece talking about how this campaign has differed so much from that 4 years ago. The piece suggests that if President Obama loses, he has only himself to blame, because early on, he just wasn't that into his campaign's negative tone. On display, he says, with comments like this.
For all you moms and kids out there, don't worry. Somebody's finally getting tough on Big Bird. Who knew that he was driving our deficit? So we're going he's decided we're going after Big Bird, and Elmo's making a run for the border, and Oscar's hiding out in a trash can. And at the time, the Republican Congress and a Senate candidate by the name of Mitt Romney. No. Don't boo, vote. Vote. Voting's the best revenge.
Joining me now, Leslie Marshall, a syndicated radio talk show host and a Fox News contributor, and Lars Larson, who's a syndicated radio host with Compass Media Networks. And David Brooks of the New York Times, he leans right, he's a center-right guy, says the dissonance between Obama 08 and 12 is so obvious. Can you think of a president who ran more different campaigns in the first and second times? I've tried, I can't. Your thoughts, Lars?
Well, the president has reason to be disappointed because 4 years ago he was convinced he had all the answers, and he stood there and told the crowd that he was going to heal the planet, stop the oceans from rising, fix the economy, and all the rest of that. And it turns out that he didn't have all the answers. His answers didn't really lead to solutions, and he didn't have anybody left to blame except himself. I watched his speech last night right after Michelle Obama spoke. I could see this guy looked sad at this point, and I can understand why. He had adoring crowds 4 years ago. These days, he has a tough time scaring up a decent-sized crowd because while he's not that into it, I get the feeling an awful lot of Democrats aren't that into him or his solutions or a faith that he can get the things done that he needs to get done for America.
Leslie,
and they're not crazy about the alternative of voting for Romney, but they're just not into Obama this
Leslie,
time.
the piece in Politico talks about how Obama's pollster told him early on that hope and change could not be recycled in a country that is suffering the way so many Americans are, the unemployment rate and so on. And they decided to go negative. They decided they had to, as was said early on, quote, kill Mitt Romney. And the theory of the piece is that President Obama didn't really love doing that. He much preferred the hope and change, but he knew he had to do what he had to do to get reelected. And now he's trying to change the message in the final days to be a little bit more positive. But, you know, a lot of Americans are wondering what happened.
Well, you know, thank you, Dr. Larson. And by the way, when you have over 10,000 people at a rally in Ohio, I wouldn't say that they're begging people to come. I wish I could get 10 people to come if I had a rally, for crying out loud. Yeah, oh, come on. Give me a break. The bottom line here is not about the number of people at rallies. And to answer your question, Megyn, I do feel that this is a different president now than 4 years ago. And I think that's of anyone who is an incumbent, quite frankly. I think that both a Democrat or a Republican running for the presidency have their idea of what it would be like to be commander-in-chief until the reality hits when they walk into the Oval Office and see what the reality is of that office and some of the promises they made perhaps that they cannot make, whether it is their party, somebody who wrote a check, etc. I don't think the president is comfortable with negative, and I think what we're seeing right now is that he is trying in the final days to campaign the way he would really like it to be done, although the negative campaigning was very effective.
Go ahead, Lars.
Megyn. When he's off prompter, here's what happens. The real Barack Obama emerges. That soundbite you ran about revenge, I've been running that thing in practically a loop since Friday. I really think that's the real Barack Obama. He does not have this positive view of America. Neither does his wife. They've both talked about it, but it only sneaks out when they think that nobody's watching or when he's not reading off a prompter. It sneaked out when he disparaged the gun-toting, religion-clinging rurals that he didn't like so well. It sneaks out when he talks about revenge or about getting back. This is the real Barack Obama. He's angry, and he's angry because he came to America with all the right solutions, and the reason they don't work is always somebody else's fault. It's Bush's fault. It's the Congress's fault. It's the tsunami back in the day. I mean, the dog ate his homework, and he's not happy because he knows that he's the smartest guy in the room. He has all the answers. It's just that the people around him won't cooperate.
Leslie,
that kind of negative attitude is not what we need in a leader.
The theory in this piece is that even if the president wins, they posit that there could be nasty consequences to this kind of campaign that we, remember the nation was pretty divided when President Bush won re-election back in 2004. And there was a question about whether that's what we're going to be, in a second Obama term. That's what they're asking in part in this piece. Your thoughts on that?
I don't think that we
Well,
have changed in our division. I don't think that we have changed in our division since 2004, to be very honest with you, Megyn. And I say that as a talk show host who has,
still Bush's
an
fault.
audience from around the country. No, it's not Bush's fault, Lars. I just think that people have made choices, and we have chosen as a nation to divide ourselves along various lines, and politics is just another one of those categories, another one of those lines. I don't feel, look, neither candidate is going to get a mandate here. So whoever wins, the other side is going to say, yeah, but they didn't win by much. And we're probably going to have the same component, I would agree.
But remember,
earlier statements
let me ask you this, because Barack Obama did have a bit of a mandate when he took office. I mean, he won by a significant margin. He had a lot of folks cross over party lines to vote for him. And there is a question about what happened. How did he lose that? Go ahead, Lars.
I think I can tell you what happened. Let's go back to Jimmy Carter. You're too young to remember this, Megyn, but Jimmy Carter had this whole country demoralized. We got Ronald Reagan, who was a uniter, who would work across party lines, even to the point where sometimes conservatives would chafe at it. But the idea was he got the country thinking on a positive track. This president came in, refused to meet with the other side. I mean, way back in the first year in office, the Republican leadership begged him for a meeting on Obamacare so they could be involved in his design. He just pushed them away. And that's exactly the attribute of a guy who says, I've got all the answers. I don't need to listen to this other side. And that transmits down to the American public.
Well, we will know soon. Next time I see you guys, we'll know. We hope. Thank you both so much.
Good luck, Leslie.
Thank you. Good luck,
Bye,
Lars. Don't cry, Lars. Don't cry tonight.
They're still going.